Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Don Pod for a classic review of Essendon, North Melbourne. 16-9-105 to North 15-9-99. I'm joined with Nathan. Good evening, Nathan.
Good evenings. Hey.
Always rely on you to bring the enthusiasm levels up.
I love it when we beat the Tin Rattlers.
Rattlers.
And the so good to get a win over our main rivals.
You do have to feel for them, though, don't you? You have to feel for them. You have to feel for it's sarcasm.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
You know what's annoying about that is that they actually have fabricated this rivalry, because now I hate them even more because they think there's a rivalry.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there was a rivalry in the 90s, and they talked about, the marshmallow thing, but the last 20 years, we haven't done anything interesting with them.
No.
Because we've both been ordinary. That's the part of the problem is for the last 20 years, we've both been crap teams.
Your biggest clue is it's a 4:40 time slot on a Sunday.
Actually, great point. Well, I did hear there was an interview at the start. Brad Scott, said, it's good to be back on this time spot.
Yeah, and that's where I've got it from. Thanks for drawing attention to that. Sorry. He was interviewed and did say that. Yep.
Sorry. I've ruined your joke, haven't I?
That's all right.
We don't rehearse this stuff, do we?
No.
Go, you do your thing.
Do my thing. Righto. In front of the Sticks, Langford 4 goals, Perkins, Merritt, Martin, Guelphy 2, Stringer, Menzies, Draper, Massimo, 1 very important goal. Merritt, phenomenal, 34 touches, 2 goals, 10 score involvements, 6 tackles, and I'd venture to say 3 Brownlow votes. Caldwell, 27 touches, very good game from him. Ridley, Martin, Hobbs, and Hind, interestingly, 4 players with 21 touches, which is a bit cool. From the outset, I have a confession that I wasn't able to watch the whole game.
That's fine, buddy.
With 5 minutes left in the third, and just with work and commitments, haven't been able to watch. So this might be a bit more interview.
I can talk you
through.
Now,
on that segue, nice and early. Talk me through Q1. Everything went right.
Everything went right. Well, we were I was nervous because, to be honest, North Melbourne have been playing pretty decent football the last 3. Well, actually, since the change of coaches, and I don't want to point that out. That I do think Ratton's doing a better job than Clarkson, but what do I know? First quarter, we just dominated the clearances. I think it was like 7-2, and what was going on there was we were just getting them out the front. Like the ruck work was beautiful. It was going to Merritt or Stringer, and we just had a player out the front, streaming forward, and we're hitting lead up options or kicking it to pretty good contest 1-on-1, making good decisions, and that went on for
game, isn't it, sometimes.
So yeah, it was really easy football, and I thought, oh, this is not too bad. And then somewhere in that 20-minute mark, North Melbourne went, hang on, this is not working for us. So they structured very different. They showed a shot from the centre bounce, and there were 3 midfielders all standing on the defensive side. So we couldn't get out the front anymore. And it took us a while to deal with that, really, to be honest. I was a bit disappointed with that.
We did, because I was driving home, ironically from Melbourne, but watching the scores progress, and we got 2 goals ahead, and then they kicked a couple of goals, and then we sort of steadied, and then they kicked another one, but then we kicked clear towards the end of the quarter. So it's like, yeah, as you say, we had to adjust. Where did it all go wrong in second and most of the third?
I think the way the ball went into their forward line was too easy, and a bit of problems with sort of like our team defense. Like without knowing the numbers, because I didn't look at that stuff. I can never find it when I want it. I thought they scored more from like kick-ins than any other team probably has against it. Like a lot of their ball just went from kick-ins down to the other end and scored. Like
I do find that particular stat hard to come by. If anyone knows,
I don't have access obviously to the AFL stats. I go to the AFL website. It's rubbish though.
It is rubbish.
So, and I also thought that all their forwards, I thought, were causing problems. BCT had a bad game. I thought his matchup wasn't good, and I do feel sorry for him because he's just not big enough to be playing on some of those guys. Like probably not Zerha because he's probably not tall, but he's rather strong.
But you've got Larkey and Coleman Jones who are tall.
Exactly. Coleman Jones would be a 200 centimetre. He plays in the ruck.
Yep.
And Larkey would be a high 190s, I would guess. And Prozerk just can't do it. Laverde doesn't do it because he's too small too. So again, we're just short of tall. I'm saying it, but we need to. I don't know what the solution is. I don't think it's a guy like Mackay,
who had a very good game, but we did continue to kick on his head.
But my question would be, why would he leave that team? Because I think for the first time in a long time, North Melbourne have a good crop of young kids coming through. And if I was him, I'd be like, well, I've been here for 7, 8 years before you can get to that stage of things. So I'd be like, I'm happy here. Everything's here. You'd have good relationships. Why would I?
Well, that's been my theory, is that if he leaves, he'll be for Carlton to play with his brother.
Possibly,
although then we'd all find out that they are, in fact, the same player.
It'd be for a lot of coin, and I don't know if I want to throw a lot of coin at him.
Neither.
I don't think we're at that stage.
Personally, we played into his hands, so he probably had an increased output against us and from what I saw, we kept kicking it in long, bomb long, bomb long, bomb long.
It's a problem of ours because we did it to Stewart as well when we played Geelong.
Yep, we did learn for a little bit, but seemed to go back. I think that doing that kick long to contest is a result of our ball movement too. If we're able to move the ball a bit easy from defence to forward, we find the target. When we get held up on half forward wing,
that's right.
That's when those bomb kicks come in.
And that's partly too because we don't have a Peter Wright, because although Langford and Wiedemann have been holding up that department for 12 games, 13 games, whatever. They've done a wonderful job. But we need a bigger body, and Peter Wright, I assume, will come back this weekend, and I think that'll really help Langford and Wiedemann.
Again, start of the year, we would have been penciling in Wright, Wiedemann. Wiedemann's the backup ruck, Draper, Langford. Like, that's your tools, and then Stringer's kind of tall as well. That would have been our desired forward line.
Yep.
But, injuries.
But and on that, like Essendon, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but so Langford will be leading on 18 goals or something like that?
No, 24, I believe.
Yeah, so then Stringer probably. And then what would it be? If you jump down to the 12s and 13s and guys like Wiedemann and Menzies would be in there, and Draper would have kicked 10, I reckon, and a few things like that. So I wouldn't have, when Wright went down, I wouldn't have thought, well, leading our goal kicking at round 13 would be Kyle Langford. That's not, we all went, geez, where are we going to kick goals from? And to be honest, so far this year, I would say our forward line has been less of an issue than our defense.
So to give you the numbers for your comments then, Langford 24, that was a solid guess from me, pure guesswork. Stringer 17, Perkins 15, Wiedemann 13, Menzie 13, Draper 10, and then you go down to your mids. Martin
and that Perkins is great. Langford's great. So the really interesting part then is, so Wright comes back. I assume that takes out a ruckman, because you won't play two ruckman and Wright and Wiedemann. I want Wiedemann to stay inside because he's too valuable as another tall forward. So
he let's call a spade. He had a bit of a nightmare.
Oh yeah, shocker
yesterday, but he's not.
But so did Sir Thatcher, I thought, and you're not dropping him.
No, correct. Before we get to the individuals too much, let's talk about the bit I can talk about because I watched it. Fourth quarter. It was.
You go with you. You be you.
I hate North Melbourne with an absolute undying passion. So I was already frustrated because I'd seen that we were ahead early by 20 points, looking pretty crazy when you're just looking at numbers on the screen. And then I get home and put the child in bed and turn it on and go, oh, for God's sake, what are we doing? We were made to look quite ordinary in the middle, I thought. And I want to throw some tiniest bit of affection to George Wardlaw for his
not too much
game. Just, I've not seen, and I don't watch a lot of other football, to be fair, but a young player like that crack in as hard as he did. I know he's gave away a few free kicks, but Jesus Christ, he put us to shame a few times.
So he led the team with this, led the game with centre clearances.
It's not a surprise. So what you were saying about us in the first quarter being able to get out the front of the stoppage, they did that a little bit too easily in the fourth quarter. Although generally we got first hands a lot of the times, and then they were able to get it back and just get nice, easy, long kicks inside 50, which is frustrating. Martin's kick. There was a kick-off halfback where he kind of navigated through traffic and then did a 55-metre pass straight to the chest of, I don't remember who it was on half forward. He's just glorious. Bottle it, frame it, put it in the Louvre.
He certainly does use the ball very well.
There's two elements to that. One, the vision in traffic, but then to be able to hit
execution of skill.
And, the Essendon forward had maybe 2 meters on his man, and he maintained that 2 meters. Like, the kick was perfect. 1 Peter right length.
Yep. He had a very good game, Nick Martin. Like I think
Australian?
The commentators made a couple of points, made the same point a couple of times, I should say, as commentators do. He's probably statistically the best, or if not second best, winger in the competition at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's in no one's All-Australian team.
No, well, you don't worry about that because they have to. Yeah,
no, but it's nice to see our players
of course,
rewarded if they're that,
But yeah, and I hope he keeps going in that and make it a hard case for him to not be in there because he's again. We said this last week. How did West Coast miss him? How did?
I think we should get a petition going that Nick Martin needs to have at least 22 children as soon as humanly possible.
I'm not going to help.
So we can stack.
Are you going to be there involved?
I don't necessarily need to be involved. Just
is he implying like you're forcing them out of him?
Just some casual peer pressure.
Is this to one woman? Should he have like many women? Like
I haven't thought about it that deeply.
One woman to have 22 kids. That's hard work.
Okay, let's not go to that level of depth in this plan.
Do you think Essendon needs to start a whole like program of DNA children? Get something in with
telling people what they're allowed to do in their private lives is a bit dicey, particularly at this point in time. Oh, it's just a loose suggestion based on peer pressure that he maybe have some father-son.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't mind it if Zach Merritt had 22 kids at the moment.
Maybe 11 each.
Maybe 11 each. Yeah, that'd be less pressure on that one woman.
As long as one of them can spit out a few tall options because they're a bit short.
Do you reckon if they've got half a brain, you'd be trying to hook them up with the female football players like they do in the club too, so we can. This
is getting weird.
China was very big on that with their Olympic teams. They used to set the male and female basketball players up to breed.
Look, great logic. Human rights, bit more sketchy.
China do have issues around that sort of thing.
Yes, correct.
Back on track.
Let's not go there because
Nick Martin, love him.
Nick Martin, brilliant. The last goal that Massimo kicked, lovely finish from Mass, not bad for a defender. I know he's quite handy in front of the goals. I want to talk about Stringer, ironically. Slated by opposition supporters as a lazy footballer, blah, 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 whatever you want.
We won't mention his name, Chris Rule.
Again, meaningless to everyone except maybe
two
people. And we got the clearance from the Stevenson goal, who actually, while we're on that, the Stevenson goal is symbolic of our whole back six. Who the friggin' hell's on him? The hell.
Yep.
Got the ball
I have issues with it, real issues with our back six, mate.
We'll get there.
Yep.
Got the ball from the resulting clearance in the middle, kicked it forward, bit of a scrap. North were off. They were about to rebound down that far wing and just walk out of defence.
Yep.
In rolls Jake Stringer with his, what do you say, strong through the hips, bum and backside. Gets the smother, one.
Yep.
Great effort. Because as I said, that ball was gone. Runs after it, follows up, makes a tackle. The North bloke had no options, so had to handball towards the boundary. And that's where Langford, to be completely honest, probably threw it. Flicked it back. Mass kicks a goal. That's the new Jake.
Yeah.
Selfless. Richmond, he centered the ball.
Yep.
Smother, tackle, bringing those around him up into the game.
Definitely.
Love it.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of the game I thought where Stringer did those sort of things. Like off the ball, he's really bumping and crashing. And, when he does get the ball, he tries to drag players towards him that then opens up the guys on the outside. So I think that's a bit of his sort of, this is how I can help the team because, everyone comes towards me. So I'll just drag him in and get rid of it.
Yeah. And that's using your brain, really.
On the Massimo.
The Mass, yes.
Love. Going back, the player that went off for him. How did you feel? I know you didn't watch a lot of the game, but did you have a look at his stats?
I didn't. I heard things. I heard that he was fumbly and not very useful on the day. I know that him being subbed was sort of hidden behind, we just managed him. But Brad Scott, I can't pick a single name for him still. I have to call him Brad Scott.
Scotty
said in his presser that, we had a list of people, and he kind of intimated basically that he was the worst player we thought on the ground, but we're going to hide behind the injury and the bringing him back in. That was my take.
Yeah. Well, and just on that,
it's come out tonight that he's probably going to miss until now after the bye. So
I read this as that Essendon were like, "Wow, we should get Shield back into this team," but he wasn't anywhere because he looked ordinary. Like, I'll be honest, he didn't look fit. He had 10 possessions, 2 kicks, which is shit house. Like for a guy that's his strength.
He plays very well against North. That might have been an element, not that it should be, but it might have been.
Yeah, well, might have been
confident chances of confidence booster.
I don't like the idea of taking a guy that's not fit into any game that you're thinking, like, seriously, if he wasn't, why didn't we just play him in the VFL and play 3/4 of him there and say, oh,
well, you could put a play to half even and just be done with it. It's
especially when we're 2 weeks short of the bye. Like, you're thinking, well, now he's not going to play next week. So then he has the bye off and then he should be right. But why would, I don't know. Things like that frustrate me. I would have been happy to have seen maybe Massimo play the whole game or another, young player come out of the VFL and have a run around. But anyway, that's just me.
It is what it is.
Yep.
Back on the fourth quarter.
Yep.
I was flat because we'd played poorly. And I do try and concentrate on how we play. I think it's important when you're not expecting great things, particularly. How you play is often more important than results. Yes, there should wins and should lose.
Yep.
That's normally the should lose that you look for the positives. But when you have the should win and you play shit but still win, there's still an element of, that could have been better. I was in that kind of mood. And then I remembered when there was about 3 seconds left how much I hate North Melbourne. And in my living room with my child asleep, I very quietly stood up and celebrated. And the only words that came out of my mouth were, fuck you, North.
Ooh.
They are. Then I just...
Yeah.
They're 18.
Do you want to know how I dealt with it?
Several beers.
Oh, well, it was that. That's consistent. That's not how I did. That's how I deal with everything.
That's how you deal with 10-goal wins. Yeah, fair.
So I was very frustrated in the fourth quarter too. I was like, geez, we better not lose. Like, they got out to 3 goals. 2 or 3 goals.
Which we turned over very quickly, I might add.
Yeah, and I was like, geez, we just can't defend. We just cannot defend at the moment. And I back 6 is shit house. I had put, now I don't condone gambling. I want that to be out there, but I put a cheeky little 65 on North.
65.
As a way that I thought, I can deal with the loss. And I could just sit there and watch it go, well, if we lose,
at least if we lose, it's
Yeah.
I don't condone that. One, gambling, but 2, that's not a nice way to approach football.
Well, it helps.
It
helps. So I don't need to do it against Carlton this week. I don't need to do that because I'm like, well, win or loss, I don't really care as much.
We're favourites, which is hilarious.
It's Carlton could beat us, and I go, yeah.
I think they will.
Whereas I don't want to lose to 7 each.
And I was playfully nervous against West Coast. Like I was saying, but I didn't really think we'd lose. I was scared. North are in good form without winning, and again, an admin error cost them a game against Sydney.
Yep,
they were very good against Collingwood, who are at the moment far and away best in the comp.
Best team. Yep.
And then they're coming up against us, who are injury hit. On a bit of a run, but not really.
No.
It was a real danger game. And again, I don't want to spend too much time pumping up North because they can get stuffed, but they look okay. Which leads me to a question for you.
Yep. Love a question.
Without notice. Who would you rather be?
Me.
Carlton Football Club or the North Melbourne Football Club?
Ooh, Carlton.
Let's not pretend I didn't warn you this was coming.
Oh, you're pretty put. Well, now I look like I'm staging.
Yeah, I know. That's what I wanted to do.
Now, without thinking about this, because this question has just been given to me.
Given to you then, yeah. Cut that out.
So, well, probably, I wouldn't have said this at the start of the year, but right now on this week, I'd say North Melbourne. At the end of the year, I might change that, but right now in North Melbourne, I love Warlord. I think you're right. He's going to be really good. The Warlord, as I'm calling him. Not Ward.
Such fun with your names.
No, this is Warlord.
Oh, that was deliberate, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sheasel's obviously a talent. They've got Zerk, not Zerk Thatcher. That's house.
Mackay?
No, the other midfielders, Simpkin,
Uniac,
yep, hyphen.
Who LD didn't play, which was very beneficial.
Well,
for us.
They've got injuries at the moment. They're dealing with that. The tall ruckman I'm not in love with, but they're that Xeri.
Yeah. Well, that's the only. I mean, not that we want to turn this into the North Melbourne pod.
No. But
that's the only issue.
I think there's some good young talent in their team. Whereas Carlton, you look at them and I go, well, they've got two very good pillar forwards, but they just don't seem to be able to get them to them. The rest of their smalls are rubbish. Like the guys like Fisher are getting the game, and he's shit.
Yeah, let's not slander Carlton too much.
I don't mind slander. They're not listening, Sam. This is not the Carlton
No, but
pod.
we do play them this week, and I just think it's a recipe for disaster. But just looking after you. That's all.
If Fisher kicks 4, I'll be really upset.
They are a bit shit. Cripps is like 28, 29 now, and just, I mean, not in the way he plays, but just looks like Chris Judd. Looks like he's sick and tired of carrying that football team.
I can't believe the change in him this year compared to last year. Like last year, he just dominated games.
Yeah.
Seriously, dominated. This year, he's fumbling. Like, I watched the game, the horrible game on Friday night with them, Melbourne.
Yeah, one fun.
He fumbled the ball all the time. Like, he could not get a clearance. Like, could not get a clear possession and do something with it. Just dropped it. I was like, oh, geez, what's happened to him?
I don't want to ask you. This is now turning into the AFL pod. It's a new off branch of the Don pod. Bailey Fritsch. Yeah. What do you think of him?
Do
you have any strong opinions? Yeah, and that
he's pretty talented.
He is, but I would be all over that. He takes shots and pings at goal when he's got like 14 free plays in the goal square. He'd still have a shot.
If he's hitting them, I don't care.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
He was there leading. He kicked 50 goals.
Yeah, I'm not doubting the talent of the man, but in a successful team like Melbourne, you usually see them be very selfless.
Oh, and I think in any successful team, you have to be selfless.
Correct.
But you've also got to have. I'll tell you something that some of our players do, and it shits me.
We'll get it back on Essendon, real good. Yep.
Well, okay. There was a moment there when Snelling took a mark 35 out. I don't know if you saw this. It was early
Merritt, was it?
First quarter, yeah. And he passed it to Merritt. And it barely got there. Like, if that had spilt and like, just say, like, the kick, Merritt had to slide in and take it. Say the kick, he drops it or something. I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? You're 35 metres out on a slight angle. You have a shot.
I see where you're going with this. In that scenario, if you are a forward within 50, within your kicking range, and particularly within like the 45-degree angles, you should take the shot.
Yeah.
And I advocate if they're running through 50 and there's only a contest, take the shot.
Yeah.
But when you've got, and this is what I'm talking about with Fritsch, when you've got a play, you're on the boundary basically on a free run, not even a marking sort of set play.
Yeah.
And you've got a free player in the goal square. And Fritsch kicked the goal, but the Melbourne guy in the goal square went, no.
But the key is he kicked the goal.
Yeah, I don't deny that. But
if he goes to handball it or if he goes to pass it and that stuff's up. They look like idiots.
Yeah, you're right. Damned if you don't.
I don't think it matters.
If we were playing North Melbourne tomorrow, if we were playing Melbourne tomorrow, my yelling over the fence is that you're a bit of a hungry hippo, Bailey.
Well, I tell you what, he'd probably kick 5 against us because Redmond wouldn't go near him.
Yeah, probably.
Well, half our defenders don't like to defend. Is one of my issues. Is that they seem to want to run up the ground more often than just stay on their players. But that's something I'm dealing with.
Let's talk. Well, sorry. Well, no, I want to introduce it properly, and then you can have your soapbox moment. The back six, we do chop and change. I'm aware of this. That one week we'll think they're brilliant, next week we think they're a bit crappy. But for me, I'm aware that we've got players in positions that they shouldn't necessarily be playing in, and that's BZT. He's not the super tall, super chunky key defender that we would want to have as our number one defender, I'm sure.
No, he's not.
But he's a bit inconsistent now. And it seems like our entire back six are a bit inconsistent, except for Ridley, who's a fucking gun.
Ridley's had another very good game.
Sorry, I can hear banging noises in the background. I'm a bit distracted. I don't know what's going on.
It's not me.
No,
someone's coming in, Sam.
Yeah, we're a long way away. The bit I saw, Zerk Thatcher was on Coleman Jones, and Coleman Jones is tall, but in terms of size, like body size, they're a bit similar. Coleman Jones is a bit of a lighter frame, so is Zerk Thatcher. And he just got out-positioned, out-marked, and then cracked it. after hitting that mark. And it's like, bro, you go. You're better at this with the defense than I am.
Oh, well, again, I think so. Zerk Thatcher's a 195 or something like that, near 194,
Yes,
3. Whereas Coleman Jones is 200 centimeters and over 100 kilos.
Really?
So, yeah, whereas Zerk Thatcher's not 80 something. We worked that out.
Okay, I'll take all that back then. That's
and he's just playing way oversized. But I think the problem with Zerk Thatcher is that it's not just those moments where he's getting killed. It's the other moments where he's just looking a little lost. And the same as Redmond. Redmond's getting drawn into the contest and his players are going out. He's not influencing the contest and the ball's going out the back and they're kicking easy goals. I have real issues about when I say back 6 or 7, Ridley played a great game. McGrath has played 3 or 4 good games in a row. Redmond, if he went to Adelaide, I really wouldn't worry. I think that there are players that could easily replace that role. I did have a thought that Sammy Durham could go down there and play that role really, really well. Great mark. Could,
robbing Peter to pay Paul there a little bit.
But I get you're right. But still, I don't know where Langford's going to go. I still am confused at how the team's going to say everyone comes back. Wright comes back. Sardis gets a game. Parrish is in the team. I think people are going to get pushed out.
Yep. Not a conversation for now. Stick on your back 6.
But I was just saying that we need to find a serious 200 centimeter, 95 to 100 kilo. Either Stewart is the possibility, but he's injured.
He's done for the year, basically.
We keep just praying that Reed gets fit and gets into that team.
So there is an element here that we understand that Zerk Thatcher is outsized most weeks. And last year it was Laverde who was just, we had to accept was outsized most weeks.
Yep.
So it's not necessarily the player, but I worry a little bit now that we're 6 on the ladder. And I think now the perception from the general footy public
we're not rubbish
is that we're not shit and we're actually a realistic chance now to make finals.
Which I don't like.
No, I don't like that either. We've beaten Melbourne. We've been competitive against teams above us. And to this point in the season, we've beaten the teams below us.
Yeah, which doesn't make us anything special at the moment, but we haven't.
Not special, but we're in a position where people are starting to go, they're not going to win a flag. Let's not get carried away. But they're talking that we will make finals, or we should make finals, whatever you say.
But just because they're talking.
I know, but it worries me because, one, if we do happen to squeeze into finals, let it not be 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
Because you're meant to lose. When you're 7th and 8th, you're meant to lose.
Yep.
But I still worry that the back 6 are just inconsistent. We're short at all. It's on the jumper.
Short at all.
They're so inconsistent, though. Some weeks it's bloody good, and some weeks it's the complete
The reality is, Sam, and this is the hard truth at the moment, we have beaten one team in the 8, Melbourne.
Really?
Yep. Collingwood, Port, nah. Brisbane, nah, they flogged us. St Kilda beat us. Western Bulldogs, we haven't played them yet, have we? No. And Geelong touched us. So the reality there is that we are not near any of those teams. Melbourne maybe, but Melbourne seemed on a bad day, don't look very good. Like, they were horrible against Carlton, really.
Was a shit game of footy.
Yeah. So I just we've had a hard run. We came out of it well, but we still lost to teams that were better than it or above us. We've beaten teams that were even or below, which is good, but we're not beating good teams.
No. I think I said earlier about breaking games. There's two scenarios for me when we approach game of football. Should win, should lose.
There's a draw. What about a draw?
Well, I mean, the draw's a loss, really.
Horse race.
If you're thinking about it. Don't. We've won the should wins and we've lost the should loses with the exception of Melbourne that we won. So we haven't really gone against the grain of what we expect in a game of football.
No.
We played a bit shit yesterday. We played a bit shit against West Coast, still won by 50 points, I might add. Richmond, you might have argued, was a 50-50, but given their position, probably a should win.
But again, they've only won ultimately 3.5 games or whatever it is.
So that to me says we're achieving. We're not overachieving, we're not underachieving. We're just about where we are is where we are. And looking back, GWS was a good win. Gold Coast. I don't think we'd beat Gold Coast right now.
No.
That was a good win.
Especially if we had to go to Darwin playing.
Yeah, the Northern Suns. I just, and I've got a stat here, and this was pinched directly from Twitter. So again, thank you, guys, Twitter.
That's what we do.
We are 7 wins, 5 losses from 12 rounds.
Yep.
The last time we had a equal or better outcome after 12 rounds was 2013, 10 years ago.
Yep.
Over 9-3. This time last year, after 12 rounds in 2022, we were 2 wins and 10 losses.
So we've improved, but and this is the stupidest statement I'm ever going to make. We've improved, but we
make a few of them.
That's harsh. We've improved, but we're still not going to be unreal, which is what you would expect from a team that has been shit for the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6, whatever years.
Yeah,
but what we can see is that young kids are playing good football. Our middle-aged or senior players like Merritt and Stringer, not Shield, definitely no, Heppel, they're all playing decent to good football.
The players that we needed to see improvement from, we have.
Yep.
Durham,
like Martin,
last
Perkins.
year we were talking about whether Durham was in the side. No question.
Yeah, 100%.
Marto, absolute steal, obviously. He would get the game in any football, any AFL club right now, even Collingwood. Merritt's gone for another level with the captaincy.
Yep.
And I continue to be so scared he's going to win a Brownlow this year and not be able to win it.
For a tackle. Caldwell's another one.
Caldwell has become a very, very important player and has
Ridley's only still 24.
Ridley's gone back to his best and fairest form.
Yep.
We found a key small defender, if that could make sense, in
McGrath. Yep.
We're getting that improvement across the board. Draper's a better ruckman, a better footballer. Kicked a wonderful opportunistic goal in the fourth quarter.
But he's improved this year than he was last year. He's kicked 10 goals this year and his rucking has improved a mile. He's hitting it to our midfielders. We're
not even questioning Hobbs' position in the side now.
No. Yeah, Hobbs has played great. And Guelphy's 2 games back have been really good.
Yeah, Guelph was incredible in the fourth quarter, actually. I should have mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, we should have.
The rundown tackle. He's got... You mentioned it last week. I won't take credit. The tap on he did when he had both West Coast players coming to him. Just a little bit of brain.
He does good football things.
Good smart. Good smart.
So that's the improvement, but the improvement can only go so far. It can't. We're not going to win a flag.
You can't.
We might sneak a win over a good side, but we're still going to lose to
beyond your capabilities as a list.
Exactly.
And we don't have that second key defender, who really should be the number 1 key defender. I will maintain that BZT should be number 2. He'd be very good number 2.
That. If it was BZT...
Same with Wiedemann. Wiedemann should be the number 2 forward, not number 1.
Yep.
And I don't think in an ideal world we'd be playing Phillips every week.
No.
Can we just
especially when he kicks the ball the wrong way?
Can we just talk about his lace out pass to Marto, which I'm sure he meant? That broke my heart a little bit because he's copped it a little bit from us, left, right, and centre, not just us.
He's been ordinary.
Republic.
1 possession last week or whatever it was, or the week before.
And he did so well. He got the ball. He won the ball off the deck. He waited for Stringer to one to run past, and he drew 2 North Melbourne defenders. So he went, "Oh no, I'm not going to handball to you." That's growth as a football team. Turned around. I thought, take the shot. Go on, Flipper. Kick a goal. You deserve it. You've been really smart for that 2 seconds.
And on his natural side.
And the slow motion replay did him so dirty because he was looking at the goal. He dropped it onto the boot and then it went that way.
And then he sort of come over and was like, sorry, apologize.
I did love that reaction because they can have a bit of fun. That's funny. We kicked a goal. It's funny. Yeah. You move on.
And that was Nick Martin too, who I pointed out before that play started way down in the back pocket and he took the kick in. Well, I don't know if it was a kick in but he took the possession way down in the back corner of the pocket and he took that mark then up the other end to kick the goal. Amazing. So I think we're saying is there's improvement in the team. We've improved. We're seeing a better structure, better play.
But we're still missing players.
There's a ceiling and we're about at it.
We're probably at it, I reckon. Yeah. And this is a question I wanted to ask you.
Yep.
Brad Scott made the point several times, rather, in the press conference that we were, in fact, the younger team.
Yeah, technically.
Now, it's very close between the 2 lists, but you've got 2 very different expectations of the football clubs. No one cares about North losing. At the start of the year, we all kind of went,
great point.
Right. Yet, and this could be just because we are Essendon supporters and we expect too much from our team. That's perfectly reasonable. But we expect to be winning games and to be improving and not to be losing like North Melbourne have. So my question, are we overachieving or are North Melbourne underachieving?
Ooh. Well, we're overachieving. I think North Melbourne are achieving what's expected. Because we are the second youngest list behind Hawthorn, or 18. And they're, what are they, 4 wins, 3 wins, something like that? So they're about there.
They were going to set some records on Saturday until they remembered how to play football. Hawthorn.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh. And we're also the fourth least experienced.
In terms of games played?
Again, Hawthorn are the least experienced. Adelaide, Freo, and then us. So
that says a lot for Freo.
It says a lot for Adelaide and Freo.
And Adelaide, yeah.
But if we're comparing ourselves to them, then we're like, oh, well, we're about the same. Like, I think we might be a game ahead of them in wins.
Adelaide
and Freo.
Yes, it's very tight in that sort of 6 to
10. That's really who we should be comparing ourselves to them, not North Melbourne, who are, although younger, we're younger, who have been crapper for a long, long time. And they've forgotten how to win.
So have we, though. And that's the same with Carlton. We're not really in a position to get too high and mighty here.
No, that's right. But
we haven't had the expectation. That's right. That
yeah.
expectation is what kills you. And that's what's killing North at present. It's interesting.
They got the wrong coach. Well, they got the right coach now, but anyway.
Yeah. I think so too, but we'll leave that alone. Anything else on the game of football itself do you have to contribute? There's a weird way of asking that question. It was good. Yes, very good.
No, I mean, I'm happy we won. I agree with you. I didn't want to lose to them. And more questions need to be asked about our list. But we also saw guys play really good games that are young, like Caldwell, like we were saying. Caldwell, Ridley, Hobbs, Merritt. Probably not that young, but still only 27 or whatever.
Can we just gush over Zachy Merritt a little bit?
Captaincy's
improved him tenfold, not tenfold, but he got levels I didn't know he had. Brad Scott said I didn't know he had.
That first quarter is as good football. He kicked 2 goals. He had something like 11 or something.
Believe it. So I checked who kicked the goals. But hang on, Merritt's kicked 2.
Good as football as you can play right there.
He was on track
2 goals.
He was on track for 8 and 60 touches.
Well, I had him as fantasy captain, and I think he had 88 points in the first goal. I thought, can he have 300? Is that possible?
Might have won some money if you'd got the 600 on your captain.
But then there's issues down our back 6 and
but at least we know. I think when you look at Carlton and they've got the players, they've got the cattle. And it is. I don't think they do. Well, they've got key positions sort of covered. They've got two Coleman medalists in their forward line. They've got a Brownlow medalist in the midfield.
And they've got
it's not a defender's
number 1 pick at centre back.
Medals, but they've got Wiedering.
Yeah.
Who's the key defender? I forget.
It's the guy that McGovern.
Yeah, he's a bit shit. But
they've
got players. They've got Walsh, who's quite good.
They've got Walsh, they've got Hewitt, they've got Chera, they got
point is, without going again too much into the Carlton podcast, they've got the cattle. We can identify places where we probably don't have the cattle, and we need to improve. What we're going to do on that, across the bye weekend, we'll do a bit of a pod where we talk about what we think needs to happen for the rest of the year and at the end of the year. So stay tuned for that. Can I get your votes, please? Sorry, if you want to say something. You can.
I was just going to say, so they're 8th in that list of oldest to youngest.
Which is not diabolical, but
no, but that's saying that their age group should be probably achieving a bit more,
a bit better. But again, it's the expectation that
they're a lot lower though in games played. Interesting. My votes,
please, and I've done the same, so you can reel them off for both of us.
All right. Yep. Well, Merritt clearly that first quarter of the game, he couldn't go from a 3 from there unless he got knocked out at the end of it.
Probably still could have given him 3.
Could have given 3. Nicky Martin. Rusty, as we like to call him.
Dusty, not quite dusty.
Not quite dusty, but
an argument for it now. Yeah.
And Rids, I thought he 12 marks or something, 11, 12 marks at back. Like that's the form we've seen from him when he was an All-Australian in 21 or whatever it was. And it was great to see that again.
Sorry, I was just looking at the stats. 21 touches, 9 marks.
Oh, 9 marks. I thought it was a bit more than that.
Man, Merritt had 11 marks. Out of interest.
Yeah, a lot of his uncontested. He spreads and gets that as an option. That's what his goal is. That's what he does really well. Again, very good for fantasy football. Get 4 points for my
Yeah, right. Nice. You and your fantasy.
Fantasies.
I want to ask you a hypothetical, and this is a great chance for every single person here listening live on YouTube, wherever you are, join in. I'm really happy with this. It is stolen from the Ads and Dunk podcast. I'm sure it's not original anyway. So we've all heard of Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Hey, whoa.
We dropped the F-bomb. It's okay.
Okay.
C-bombs are stretched too far. You name 3 people and you do that. It's a bit weird. But anyway, there's a new iteration.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit less catchy. Bench, start, drop. So you have to bench a player, start a player, and cut one from your list or drop it out of your team. Not playing.
Well, I cut from the list. I like that.
I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you one AFL in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you one Essendon.
Okay.
And again,
should I be giving you one?
Play along. No, well, no, you don't have to.
Okay.
I'll give you one. This is all prime.
Well, you should answer these as well, I guess. Go.
Well, I know your answer to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about them already, but prime.
You ruin the setups, don't you? Okay.
Prime Nat Fife.
Yep.
Prime Dusty Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Prime Paddy Dangerfield.
Yep. Okay. So Dangerfield is cold.
And the reason I brought it up, I like hearing that said. Yep.
I struggle with. I really love Nat Fife, and I'm going to put him on the ground and put Dusty on the bench.
Mm-hmm. I think that's reasonable. I think bench and start are kind of the same, really. They're still playing.
Yeah, they're still going to come on at some stage. But if the first bounce, I want
Fife's ability as a forward and his height and
his abilities are midfield.
James Hurd abilities.
Did Dustin Martin win 1 or 2 Brownlows? Just one.
One, but 3 Norm Smiths.
Yeah. Wow.
Probably should have only won 2. Probably should have won the first one. The first one was the rip-off.
That was the first. Oh, that's
Basher Hooley should have.
Basher, that's right. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Sorry.
It's rubbed.
Who would you do? You do the same?
I'll do the same. I'd probably start Dusty for the pure moments impact player. He's done it in grand finals. You can't do it in any bigger games than that. And now the Essendon one, and this will really tell me what you think of defenders, midfielders, and forwards. And we're going to have an argument.
Just do 3 defend. No, that's right. Go.
We're going to have an argument. I can feel it. Matthew Lloyd. James Hurd.
Oh,
Dustin Fletcher.
Yep. So James Hurd's on the field all day.
I can live with that.
Matthew Lloyd is on the bench.
No.
And Dustin Martin is cold. Sorry.
Can I
love
say
Dustin
it?
Martin, but I love the guy who can kick 100 goals too.
I'll quote the great Sir Alex Ferguson for attack wins you games, defence wins you premierships. I'll quote the not so great Will Schofield. Forwards sell memberships, mids win something, medals, backs win premierships. For that reason...
I'll quote the great Nathan Day. I want to go see a guy kick goals.
Sell memberships, you mean? It's an impossible job to pick
hangers
with those players. I'll start Hurdy. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you can't. If you didn't do that, we'd have to not be friends.
That's not where you lost me. I'm dropping Lloyd. I'm sorry. In a team like we had, someone would kick goals, I'm sure.
No.
And I am starting 2000 Essendon Best and Fairest winner, Dustin Fletcher.
Don't care.
And have a
Lloyd kicked 900 goals, mate. 900. He's like 3rd or maybe more than that, 5th or 6th on the list.
Defense means premierships. And Dustin Fletcher won the Best and Fairest in a premiership year. And if that don't tell you all you need to know.
Because defenders always win in a premiership year.
What does that tell you, Sunshine?
That they're useful. But they're not useful enough to. They're still going to kick goals. Someone's going to kick goals.
In premiership.
Let's move on from this. It's going around in circles, people.
Defense wins your premierships. The high road from you there. I think we've covered off what we needed to cover off. I'll get into some socials, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Too bad if it was not. I was doing it anyway. I think Danny DeLongville, great name, summed it up.
Really?
Very
That's
well.
An awesome name.
It's a Facebook name, so let's not get too...
DeLongville.
DeLongville, yeah, great.
Yep, okay.
Who simply said, thank fuck.
Thank what?
Thank fuck.
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit of that.
That's pretty perfect, if you ask me. So a few others went into a bit more detail. Doug Slater, who has been with us from the start. Hard-fought, gritty wins like that are invaluable for a young side, and Brett Ratton actually mentioned that in the North presser. It's that we haven't really had the opportunity to practice those close games. With Essendon, we have. North are really good. Too many supporters just expecting 10-goal wins. Fair comment. I think we do expect a bit too much.
Great comment, actually. Good point. And I think that's what we were trying to say is that, where are we at against North? Maybe we're not that far ahead.
Maybe we're not that far ahead.
Yeah.
Phil.
Punxsutawney
we don't have favourites, but if I had to pick one,
it's Punxsutawney Phil.
Phil. Almost looked as if after the first quarter, the boys felt like it was just going to happen.
Yeah,
reasonable,
possible.
That said, showed real maturity and determination to wrestle back momentum in the third. I wholeheartedly agree. I think we would have lost that this time last year. They would have run away 5 or 6 goal winners. He copied our votes. I'll say he copied our votes, even though he did it before we knew. But anyway, Merritt, Martin, Ridley. Yeah. All instrumental. Stringer was also a match winner in that moment. I love moments. I'm a big moments.
Oh, there was a beautiful moment from Caldwell where he did a little shake and bake on, I think that was the Warlord, was chasing him, and he did a little ass shake, and he just dropped him off and kicked a beautiful pass to Langford, I think.
Langford, yeah.
Yeah, kicked the snap, yeah.
I love this. I've missed this. Our forward line is screaming out for the 2-litre 7-seater team beater, Mr. Peter.
Good one. Write that one down.
I've missed that. Sadly, we can't do it by himself. That's, again, perfectly reasonable. He's 195. He's not your super big, tall, strong.
But he'll be a handy little backup ruckman to Draper.
Which is why we brought him in. Lastly, and this is where I got my little stat from before, congrats to Langers, brought up his 100th goal for his career with his third. Commentary did fail to mention.
The commentary. How many games? It's taken him a long time to get to that because
he hasn't had consistent forward football, though.
Actually injured. Like, he's never played a full...
So, yes, you do have this issue. And Matt Rossley, and I wanted to put this in there because I think it's very true. George Warlord, is a jet.
The Warlord.
He's a jet. Okay.
Yeah, no, super player. So, yeah, Langford, senior games... 11, 9, 17, 16, 18, 16, 6, 17, 8. So, yeah, you can't play a full season.
All in the past, Nathan.
Yeah, I know, but that's what's frustrated the living shit out of me because there was him and Laverde who had all these raps and they just were always injured.
And now, I won't touch wood. Langers
now
is
he's
on
26
track to be a
and he's
50
playing
goal
his best
forward.
40. Yeah, that's right.
Again, we expect too much too soon from these players.
Oh, but I don't think it's expectation. Like, you look at so many other clubs seem to have their guys just like Geelong. Everyone, they just roll out and they play footy, play footy. No one ever gets hurt.
Successful club, it does tend to go that way. It's okay. It'll turn.
The worm.
Langford will win a Brownlow. My Anzac Day jumper that I spent too money on will triple in value and all will be well in the world.
Maybe he'll win a Coleman before he wins a...
Yeah, well, maybe. I'll take it. I want to just drop in. I don't really reference the live comments too much these days. Phil's just dropped in with Fletcher won the BNF in 2000. So what does that tell you? Up the Phil. We had Lucas to take Lloyd's spot if needed. But
then who's taking Lucas's spot? You can't just keep pushing.
I would have kicked goals in that forward line. Come on, I was 7, but I would have.
You would have.
Probably not.
And Lucas, was that the year he went to fullback, a centre back? No,
this is your era.
He went an All-Australian centre back and an All-Australian centre forward. Lucas, good play.
Bit of Matty Pavlich about that. Well, Matty Pavlich had a bit of Scott Lucas about him, one of the two. Right, on to the VFL wrap and next week.
Oh yeah, VFL. We should have a talk about that.
We had a correspondent at the VFL this week.
Look at us, we got people.
Young Jace.
Not only are we worldwide, we've got people.
Yeah. Young Jace, who is an admin on the Don Pod Facebook page but doesn't do anything, but he went to the VFL.
It's a bit of a drive-by there, Sam.
He doesn't listen.
He's an admin.
He's an admin, doesn't post and doesn't listen to the podcast.
So boom.
Work that one out. But he's better at me than at FIFA. So, so make of that what you will. The big interest obviously was Sardis. Debut, played 3 quarters, didn't play the last quarter. Kicked a goal with his first kick, 18 touches, and described as silky, classy, and not much defensive acumen, but that's fine.
Doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to. It's just, and he strikes me as the silky mover.
Yeah.
Just glides.
Well, isn't it be exciting to have more players like that in our team? That's what, because we've got a few real hard nuts. Well, not hard nuts. Well, that's probably a big call, but people real committed guys like Durham and Guelphy and those guys that really crack in. You need class on the outside too.
Absolutely. And he's wearing the number 5, which does help. Nick Cox played midfield mostly, 21 touches. I got the info that he seemed to miss the second and third quarter, or at least large parts of the second and third quarter. So good return. Oxymoron, but for an elite kick, he can butcher the ball a bit. But the 2s at the moment is the best place for him to keep working on that. We need to work out where we're going to play him too. Interesting that he did play midfield, not at the half back role. But it's been 55 minutes, and that's my first real good segue. Tex Wanganeen. Had a bit of a Zach Merritt-esque first quarter. 14 touches, I think, and 2 goals in the first quarter. That is Zach Merritt-esque. Unreal. Finished with 2-2 and 20, but again, all mid. That's great. Probably as a result of Narkle going to Port. That's what I was going to say. Which is good. I mean, it's options. Great to see young kid like that. He's got the talent. Yep. If he could be half as good as old man. And how much will we love a Wanganeen in that side? Yeah. Oh, but his old man, there's a guy that I would rate as one of the best players that we ever had. He was unreal to watch. The question that no one asked. Yep. Yes. I would have picked him before Dustin Martin too. Okay, fair enough. Nick Bryan, 19 touches, 32 hitouts, best on allegedly again. I think just needs to get a run at AFL. Pre-podcast, you said he needs to get a run where we tell him, you got 5 or 6 games, 7 games, whatever it is, 10 games. We're not going to drop you. Yeah. Just play. And the only way that's going to happen at the moment, and I touch wood, is that if Bryant got injured and they'd go, well, Nick, you're playing. Oh, sorry, Draper got injured, and that okay, Brian, you're coming in. Which obviously we hope not. Baldwin, 21 touches, 12 marks, controlled the back line, good hands, good use, everything we know and love about the defender that is Kane Baldwin. Mm-hmm. And the feedback on Jake Kelly and Waller is class above. Waller still needs to keep working on the fitness, but clearly a class above the rest. Kelly, again, class above in the sense of controlling the back line. Disposal still a bit iffy at times, but nothing major. But yeah, really controlling the defence. Worth noting, we did lose. Yeah, but they were pretty good, North Melbourne. I think on the ladder-wise, they're pretty high up. One other one too was Lewis Hayes, just looking at his numbers. Yes, pick, please. I don't know, 20 or something, wasn't he? He was 20 odd. He had 18 with 10 marks. That's a very good game. Yeah. North again, he's a 198, 99. He's very, very tall. But he's also 19. Yeah, exactly. And this is the conundrum that we're in with him and Reed and possibly Nick Cox, but maybe less so. Do you just keep holding for the next year or two and wait? Or this do you go after? This is why I like the idea of just a patchy big boy defender. If we can get someone who's at the arse end of their career, who's 30, that can come in. That can't be Mackay. No, I don't think it's Mackay. But because he's 26, 7. Yeah, he's 5 or 6 year player. And I think if you get him, then the guys like Lewis Hayes might not play for us or Reed. And I can understand why that's okay, but there's a part of me is like, well, that sucks a bit. It does suck a bit, but they do take longer. The big boys, the tall ones, take a bit longer to get into the side. So, and the Hunter kicked a goal. The Hunt, yes, on debut, lovely set shot on the angle. It's a nice kick. That was a nice kick. He did the phone call he received from Dodoro and all that was appeared on Twitter. It was very nice. He was at the gym, which is good signs. He needs to. He needs to eat his mum's pasta and get to the gym. Bit of bulk. And maybe scoff some McDonald's in there too. Just something to put on weight. Wish I had that problem. Oh, you and I would have been awesome at AFL level. We would have been like, what is it, 105? Wouldn't have been able to walk if we turned it into muscle, Christ. But I'm only 6'1". Well, that doesn't matter. I can be 104. What blows my mind, and this is completely irrelevant. When I was a kid, playing football. I was centre half forward. Like I was always kind of the second tallest in my team, and I grew up.
Can I just stop you there? Because when
average,
he says he was a kid, he literally was 12 when he's talking about
12
this.
and 13, I played footy. Yeah.
Oh God.
And now I'm like a reasonably sized midfielder, height wise. Like,
no,
I'm not even tall.
I'm taller than you, and I'm not. I'm a midfielder, and I'm 6'2".
It's. I did not grow up.
I played in the ruck when I played seniors.
And this is why, great insight into why Nathan thinks ruckmen are the be all and end all.
I also played centre
forward. I wasn't even a
forward.
Defender, and I think defenders are the be all and end all. So
leading goal kicker at Great Western Reserves in 96, I want to say, something like that.
Runner-up best and fairest leading goal kicker at Maroochydore under 12s.
Under 12s.
I got my trophies back there, actually. You can't see it.
You don't want to see it, people.
My prize possession.
Yeah. So this leads us into next week.
Enough about us. Enough about our
enough about how great we could have been.
Lack of career.
Yeah.
Ins
and outs.
Wright comes back.
Definitely.
If Wright comes back.
I think it's
I think he will.
Shot.
I'm saying if he does, then it will be Phillips that makes way, in my humble opinion.
Yep.
And that's probably it.
Who do we take in against? Do we make changes to take in against the two, Mackay and
I'm going to finish my thoughts first.
Yep.
Menzies wasn't concussed, despite
he played a great game.
He copped the massivest knee in the face I've ever seen since James Heard.
His nose was spread.
He's gone full prime moments freaking volume.
But again, that last 2 or 3 minutes when the ball was there, he was. If you watch that, he was in those contests in there.
He's become a very solid contributor.
Agree. He's kicked 13 goals.
I'm loving it. He's going to do his best Voldemort impression this week.
Can I make a quick statement too? So,
what'd you do?
Jaden Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with that.
Yep.
There's a good chance that he will kick the match-winning goal next year.
Yes, I see where you're going with this mid-season draft picks. It's happened once before, so it has to happen next week. Is that what you're saying?
It's happened the last 2 weeks. Oh, no, the last 2 out of 3. Richmond, who kicked the winning goal there?
Yesterday was a bit less of a match winning. I get it that it was the goal that won us the match, but it was 2 minutes left.
Fair enough.
Whereas Stuz kicked a goal with about 1 second left. So
watching, but I'm gone.
Just saying. Lock it in.
Lock it in, Eddie.
Lock it in. Has to happen now. To deal with the defense, to deal with the forward line, rather, I would be a strong advocate of bringing Baldwin back in. Even though, again, like BZT, not the tallest, but at least might be able to compete.
Who do you have to take? Do you take out a Heppel?
It's not going to happen, but Laverne.
No.
He's my interchangeable one.
Yeah, true enough. So Carlton, their ruckman didn't play this week. I don't remember. Sorry, last week, and I can't recall.
No, Pitnet's out for a while. Pitnet's out.
Yeah, okay. So they DeConing.
Yes.
He's got a great leap on him, and I just can't handle. I feel so sorry for that Silvani. The fact that he had to go ruck against Grundy and Gawn, and he is. I know he's pretty tall, but he's not like Gawn and Grundy looked at him a couple of times. Just can you move over there and I'll hit it down there. And I'm like, can't they find someone else? The poor bastard. I reckon he'd make a great centre half back. That Silvani, seriously, like. He's a good height. He's a great mark. He's tough. Like, just play him at centre half back, the poor bastard. Maybe we should go after him. Silvani at Essendon. Imagine that. I do worry how we're going to deal with their 2 forwards because they're due to play a good game. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, what's his face? Mackay was.
Oh, what's his face? He's awesome.
Mackay was okay against Melbourne. Seemed to get rid of the Ips a bit. More so, had one shocker where he kicked around the corner that didn't make the distance. But
don't get the kick around the corner when you're out in front.
I'm going to argue my own point a little bit here. Curnow would ordinarily be the one that concerns me the most because he's got the sort of the best of both worlds. He's tall, he's big, but he's a bit more agile.
Well, he's very agile,
and I think that'll hurt us.
He's very muscly too. Like
after watching Tomahawk kick 7 or whatever it was, the big body Mackay type. Scare me. Maybe we can just loan in his brother for a game.
Yeah, I don't know if it works that way. I wonder how we're going to deal with that, and I'll be interested to. I don't know if I have an answer, because I don't know if I'd have to look at some stats, but I don't know who their smalls are that are the trouble. Like Redmond McGrath could do enough of a job, and Heppel, so they could do enough of a job on their smalls.
They do have a Motlop.
Yeah,
small,
they have a Motlop.
crafty.
So that McGrath goes to him. Like he can
a Motlop. They have Motlop.
Well, more. I know what you're saying. So McGrath can go to him, and he probably should play a good game off him as well. As well as defending on him, but get a bit of run off him.
I think.
Do you drop a hind and bring in another tall? That's
no.
Okay. I tried.
Short answer. We've got a height in Ridley. Maybe you don't drop Lab. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
Well, you can't drop Lav and bring him. I reckon you nearly have to bring in another tall.
Okay. I think that clearly, and I'm going to live to regret this. Mackay and Curnow, obviously, at this point in time, to round 12, 2023, are not the forwards they were last year. And it could be because Carlton are just a bit shit and aren't able to move the ball as freely to them. It could be that their draw is harder, they're playing better teams more often and are getting found out. For me, you can have the best defender you've ever seen in your life. If the ball movement is quick and easy, your defense doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, great point. So
if we can control the game up the ground, restrict their ability to move the ball freely, create contests. So it's not always one-on-one. Create pack situations where you can have Ridley float across or you can have Redmond float across and intercept. That's what you want. Because if we just had BZT on Mackay or BZT on Curnow all day, we're going to get flogged.
100%.
And that's, again, not a blight on BZT or any of them, but it's going to be bloody hard to defend. Mackay's 202. Curnow's not as tall, but he's very agile and able.
So my concern is looking at, I agree with what you were saying, is that then the clearance and the midfield becomes important. We lost the clearances to North Melbourne, who basically, like for half that game, the one that when they were really winning the clearances, when it was the Warlord and Sheasel and, the younger kids, Simpkin, and, so that's when they were really beating us, and Shield, who's older, but because our number one clearance player, who still leads our clearances and he's missed the last 4 games, still leading clearances for us, is not playing and won't be playing this week. Yeah. The concern is that I think Carlton will be very good around the ball. Like Cripps, he's been shit.
That's where they have the cattle.
That's where their strength is, and I think it'll be. I do think it will be better than ours because they will put a tag on Merritt, or they won't let Merritt have the game he had. And if Merritt gets shut out, then I don't know who's left.
I've been talking so much shit at work about Carlton. We can't afford to lose this.
Oh, we'll lose it.
I'm not going to show my face for a couple of weeks.
No, okay. But do you understand my concern is that this is why I'm thinking of going in with another tall, because I think the ball's going to come down there a lot. They're going to be banging it in. We need maybe another tall to market. That's all I'm thinking.
I worry about balance. And when the ball hits the deck, you need to have.
But that's what Redmond,
McGrath and Redmond might be. Yeah, I see your point. I don't think we'll
Massimo, if he plays the sub role, comes on.
We haven't done massive changes to the structure or the team. Even playing Geelong, who, I'm sorry, but Hawkins and Cameron are a far greater threat.
Oh, but they killed us. But
we didn't change the setup then.
But if you were to play them again the next week, say you've just had that experience, you go, okay, do we go in with the same 6? No, we just leave it the same. Of course not. You wouldn't. You'd go, well, let's try something different. Let's try Baldwin. Let's try, if we had a Stewart or a tall, fit player, then you'd be doing that. But you wouldn't go back with same 6 and go, we'll do it again, because they're going to do exact same things to us. And a lot of that was because the midfielders were kicking it in so easily.
That's the issue for me, rather than the cattle in the back 6. But I see your point, so it will be interesting.
But they're gonna be very hard to beat. I'm saying, because we're missing Parrish. Shield's not there. He's
But we do get right back. So if we get the ball out, we're more of a chance to score. He will kick 8 straight, and we'll win by 30.
Okay, love it. That's it.
Can I have your tip?
Shut up, shop.
Can I have your tip?
Well, I think we can win it, but. I know I've said all that. I'm going to still tip us because that's what we do here.
Because that's what you do. No, that's what you do.
It's called the Don Pod.
What you do.
Bombers by 12 points.
Okay. I'm going to say Essendon because I have to. I don't know
So I have to.
I don't know why I'm writing this down. By 23.
Oh, you're an idiot. Really?
Saying that, I truly, deeply, madly feel that Carlton will win by about 30. But
I think it's a hard game. Like, I think this is a game we just talked about. We've hit our level. The other thing for me is the fact that we're coming towards the bye, and I reckon teams start to really wear out. Yeah. If you graft it, I reckon young teams like
the
ours,
younger teams, the teams that like Adelaide, ones with the youthful exuberance, generally do fall a bit flat.
Yep. And if we can get away with the win this weekend and get the bye, then we've got some hard games after the
I don't even
don't
care for the fact that it's another win for us and we'll probably go into the bye 5th. Really? Imagine what it does to Carlton.
Coach Saka.
It's almost another coach killer. We kill a lot of coaches. When you lose to Essendon, it's really over. Apparently.
The problem with Carlton is that they have a massive history in getting rid of coaches, and they'd be getting and he only joined them last year, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think they should sack him, to be honest, but
it would come up.
It was talked about after round freaking 4.
There you go.
Oh,
all right, let's wrap this baby up. It's late.
It is late. Just making sure we've covered everything we need to cover. We have. Well, that'll do us then. We'll be back 7:30 live on Facebook next Monday night following the Carlton game, which is on a Sunday night, weirdly, but public holiday Monday. And go Dons. That's all I've got.
Go Bombers.
Yeah.
Yeah.